Good afternoon, everyone. We are here to meet about Diana's IEP. Would like to just introduce myself and introduce the people that are also here. So I am Miss Brandy George, and I am Diana's case manager for her IEP, and I am also her classroom teacher. And I would like the rest of you to introduce yourself as well. We are here to discuss Diana's progress on 3 different assessments. We have the FastBridge assessment, the Wechsler Intelligence Test, and a CBM Reading Fluency assessment. So we'll start with the FastBridge, and in the FastBridge, her data in the math, she is in the high-risk category in both the CBM math automaticity and the A math parts of the assessment. And I have her information right here, so as you can see, here are that's the reading data, I'm sorry, math is down here. So it puts her at the high risk category at a score of 209, but you see that she's close to the low risk category, which is at 220. But even though that doesn't seem like a big jump, it kind of is. So we have to work really hard to get her up here at the 220 level where she would be at low risk. Our goal is to get her to college pathway. But for right now, we're going to focus on getting her into this section here. And then we have her percentile rankings here. So she's in the 47th percentile for the district and the 14th percent for national. So she's about midway through for the district percentile and pretty low on the national percentile. We have to remember that Danny does have an IEP, however, so this is not uncommon. This part here is about her math automaticity. So these are different math problems that she would have had to have answered and if she got them correct or not. So she answered 13 items and she got 7 correct, which made her at 54% accuracy. Her strengths in math are classifying objects by measurable features, like length of the sides or shape of the object, understanding the relationship between numbers and quantities, so 4 and then 4 crayons, or 15 and 15 tennis balls. Counting forward by 1s and 10s, so 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, 6, 7, 8, or 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 by 10s. She is proficient in solving addition and subtraction word problems and also composing and decomposing numbers from 11 to 19. So, 10 plus 1 is 11, 8 plus 2 plus 1 is 11. That's decomposing and composing numbers. And her weaknesses that showed up on the FastBridge math would be multiplication and division of numbers to 100. In the reading part of the FastBridge assessment, she is considered in the low risk for phonics and fluency and in some risk in A reading, which is phonemic awareness and general reading skill. And so we have that information here at the top in this graph here. So we have the score of 513, which is some risk. And so we want to be up in this section at low risk or even up here in the college pathway. Her percentiles, she's in the 53rd percentile for district, so she's higher in math than in reading, and the 18th percentile nationally. Her strengths in reading would be comparing and contrasting 2 or more versions of the same story. So if we have 2 versions of Cinderella, she can compare them and contrast them, say how they're like and how they're different. She can identify sensory details like how things how things are viewed. She can point out like smell words, taste words, things that are sensory in stories that help you understand the character and what the character is going through. She can identify who is telling the story, so point of view. She can determine the meaning of new, unknown, and multi-meaning words, which is amazing. She can name the author and the illustrator and say what they each do. She can identify the front cover, the back cover, and the title page of a book. Her weaknesses in the area of reading would be vocabulary and comprehension of specific stories, determining 2 or more themes, which is themes would be like friendship or love or bullying or struggles, and then analyzing the development of those themes in a story, which is a higher level thing to do. So that's not it's not surprising. And also another weakness is citing textual evidence to support what is said explicitly and implicitly. So going back in a text and figuring out where that answer is to support an answer that she has given. I also gave Diana 4 CBM reading passages, and CBM stands for curriculum-based measurements, and I gave them to her over the course of 4 weeks. And in between each CBM, I gave her an intervention, some kind of lesson to help her with the CBM, and it was with fluency. And since she scored at some risk, we had to do a CBM for her. And I gave her an intervention in between the second, third, and fourth fluency assessments. So her baseline was at 98%, which is pretty good, but the aim line is 100% accuracy. And Diana did not gain any fluency percentage based on any of the interventions given. Diana reads quickly when she reads, and her errors do not detract from the meaning of the story. She replaces words with other words that actually make sense, or she omits words that are not completely necessary to completing the passage or comprehending the passage. This is a huge strength for her. She is able to phonetically sound out words that she doesn't know, and she goes back and corrects her mistakes very frequently. And that's why I believe another reason her words per minute are low, because she does go back and fix herself. I believe that the interventions did not increase her fluency performance because of this. It's my recommendation that she continue to practice reading aloud to her peers and to her teachers and to other adults in her life. I also would recommend that she read into an iPad or other recording device and listen back to it to show her the errors that she's making, and that will motivate her to slow down and improve in her reading. We also did a Weschler Intelligence Scale test on Diana, and her short-term memory was an outlier, and the General Ability Index is believed to be the best estimate of her cognitive skills and abilities. But the Cognitive Proficiency Index is a measure that solely looks at processing speed and memory. And so this performance can be very valuable in understanding how her diagnosis affects her ability to store information and work efficiently through the tasks. So we have decided that Diana needs further instruction in ELA, specifically in the area of fluency. Her fluency does not seem to affect her comprehension of the passages read for these assessments, because she does, like I said, replace words or omits words or whatever, and it still fits the structure of the passage. It doesn't ever detract from the meaning of the passage. She does actually what functionally illiterate adults do, which is like filling in those gaps and reading ahead and substituting words that make sense and skipping parts that don't change the meaning of the story. So all that being said, I want to ask if there's any questions. Okay, and now I want to let you know about some short-term and long-term goals that I have for Diana. My 2 short-term goals that I have for Diana, these are in her IEP. By the end of the 3rd quarter, when given a grade level fiction text, which would be 7th grade, Diana will be able to read aloud at 25 words per minute with no more than 5 decoding errors. I'm sorry, I misspoke. 125 words per minute with no more than 5 decoding errors. And then by the end of 3rd quarter, another goal I have is when given a grade level fiction text, again, 7th grade level text, Diana will be able to answer who, what, where, when, why, and how comprehension questions with 85% accuracy. So questions that would have the answer directly stated in the text, they wouldn't be inferring, she wouldn't be inferring the answers. She wouldn't be making inferences or predicting. She would just be saying, okay, who is the main character? What is the setting? Where does the story take place? When does the story take place? Why did this happen in the story? With 85% accuracy. So those are my 2 short-term goals. Reading aloud 125 words per minute with no more than 5 decoding errors. And then when given a grade level fiction text, being able to answer those who, what, where, when, why, and how questions with 85% accuracy. So long-term goals are not just this year or next year or whatever. They're further down in Diana's future. So here are my 2 long-term goals for Diana. I want Diana to be able to be a fluent reader of an 8th grade level text, as 8th grade level text is the level that most newspaper and internet articles are written at. So I want her to be able to read in an 8th grade level successfully, fluently. And I also want her to use this fluency practice to be able to exhibit less fear when public speaking, as that is related to being a fluent and expressive reader. Any questions? Okay, so as far as things that you can do as parents to assist Diana with her reading, you can provide her with grade level texts that are of high interest, things that she wants to read, but that are on her grade level. She's in the 7th grade, but she's not necessarily reading at a 7th grade level. I would suggest maybe 5th grade level books for her at this moment. I would also suggest reading aloud to her. You can read aloud anything from, chapter books like this to picture books like this. And when I read to Diana in class, she really likes both of those types of books. So she really enjoys being read aloud too. You can also time her reading for a minute and then track her progress. So maybe have like a chart in her room that has like this date and this is where her words per minute were, and this date and this is words per minute, and so on, and see, a trend line that goes up. And then you can also read together with her. So read chorally. So have maybe a copy of the same book and both of you read at the same time, or have her read with a sibling or an aunt or something like that. And so what I'm prepared to do in my classroom are give some lessons to assist her in developing these skills and meeting these goals. So we're going to be doing some choral reading in class to work on fluency. We'll be doing that every day with some subjects. Reading, obviously, we will do that every day, but things like science and social studies, we'll do that sporadically. We're also going to be recording ourselves on iPads, so we're going to be listening to ourselves read, recording ourselves reading, and then listening back to it and finding out where our errors are. Listening to ourselves is the best way to kind of gauge where we are with our own reading. And then we're also going to do something called Reader's Theater, and Reader's Theater is just what it sounds like. It's plays, and they are leveled. So a play might have 5 roles, and one is a 1st grade reading level, and one is a 5th grade reading level, and one is a 7th grade reading level. And then they will take those roles and they will read their role in an expressive and fluent manner so that we can be engaged in the reading of that. So those are some ideas for me to do in my classroom to assist Diana in her improvement in her fluency and with her goals. And then I've got some ideas for you as well. Are there any questions or concerns? I would like to thank you for coming to Diana's IEP review today. And I definitely appreciate all the work you've put in with your child. And I can see that she's definitely somebody that's willing to learn and willing to try and is able to meet these goals. We just have to work together. Thank you for coming. Have a good day.